and welcome to the racetrack. We are here at one of the oldest circuits in the country, which happens to be the oldest operational circuit in the country outside of Chennai, MMRT. So this is a beautiful flowing circuit for which you need a couple of really fast cars. And for that, we've got a couple of Audis. Actually, that isn't quite right, because we've got three blazing fast Audis. In ascending order of BHP count, we start with the timeless sports car, the Audi TT. Then we have the subtle yet potent 420 BHP Audi S6. And finally, we have the menacing but swoopy 553 BHP Audi RS7. And when you put them together, you get 4 crore rupees worth of automotive muscle in one frame. So you've seen our petrol bombs, you know the circuit we are at, you can do the math. This is all about lap times. But it isn't just about setting lap times here. This is a tri-circuit challenge, and all 3 of these cars are going to go to Coimbatore, to the Kari Motor Speedway, and from there to the BIC in Noida. Each place, these cars, all 3 of them, have to set their quickest laps. So that responsibility has to fall on young shoulders, some very capable shoulders, and somebody who knows his way around Audis really quite well. I'm talking about Aditya Patel.
Hi Kartik.
Hi Aditya, welcome to the MMRT.
Thank you.
Okay, so you know this track fairly well.
Fairly well, you can say that.
And you know these cars fairly well, but you're doing far more exciting stuff on your work weekends.
On my work weekends, yep, I drive these cars. This is my office, that is my office, and that's my other office. There's one that's not here, it's called the R8. That's the 4th office.
You got a tight little sports car over there and something in between, I would say, over here. So which one would you put your money on now?
I mean, I would put my money on the number. 560
Horsepower.
BHP, horsepower, any day.
Okay, I'm not going to hold Aditya back any further. We're going to get into the pit lane, set the cars up and hit the track. The first car that he headed out with was the Audi TT. Despite expecting it, the TT's stiff, racetrack-oriented suspension surprised me on the warm-up lap. It rattled hard over the curves. Aditya knows the TT very well, having raced it and won the 24 Hours of Nürburgring in 2012 with it. Its lightweight and low center of gravity meant that it was a fair bit of fun at Chennai.
This is like a go-kart, huh? Really feel the brakes or the power, nothing, no? Never have the chance.
And on the track it's like an on-off, right?
Yeah.
You just go pop.
It's so easy, I don't have to put any effort. As long as I slow the car down, I'm fine. It goes pretty much where I want it to go.
The TT was pretty impressive in the way it turned, and Aditya was tweaking it further.
I go in a little early and then halfway through the corner I just do a little lift. It points the car and you see, and then it goes exactly where I want to see.
And the result was a time of 2 minutes 3 seconds, just as we expected. Next up was the S6.
This car is more for the autobahn. Let's see how it
Even
is
right
on the
now
track.
we have it on the stiffest suspension setting, and I think
Yeah.
that's the biggest concern.
Yeah. And you can already feel how soft it is compared to the TTs. So I put the rear tire pressures a bit high and the front tire pressures I brought them down just to hopefully get the tail to step out when I enter the corner. That way I can line up the car before. Being a heavier car, it would just be nice if I could line it up before the apex and drive it straight up.
On the hot lap, the S6 decided to show its hand. Tweaking the tire pressures had clearly improved turn-in. The Quattro 4-wheel drive system was slamming the V8's massive torque into the tarmac very effectively. But the weight of the S6 was punishing the front tires in the long corners, as it would roll and push wide.
Not the easiest to drive on the track because of the weight, but I mean, you can get it to go around.
We weren't expecting much from the S6, but when we crossed the finish line, it proved both of us wrong. Very wrong.
Faster than what we expected.
No, from what we expected, 6-7
It's 6-7
seconds.
seconds, yeah. Wow. Now I'm impressed with this car.
We were bowled over by the 2-minute flat lap time of the S6. And now it was time to unleash the stealth car. The 553 bhp RS7. Aditya wanted to play things safe in the RS7, which is why he kept the ESP partially engaged.
When you hear 560 bhp and you say off, I don't think it's advisable.
From the passenger seat, I didn't feel like Aditya was taking it easy. Not by a long shot.
Once in the corners really quick. This thing really keeps you on your toes, huh? This thing is quick.
The RS7 was blisteringly fast in a straight line. And it was unbelievably quick jumping in and out of corners. It was incredible, especially when you consider its size. And I had begged Aditya to take it easy because we had to conserve the tires. Despite that, the lap time was staggering. The RS7 had undercut the S6 by half a second. So there we have it, the finishing order of the 3 Audis. And you know what? They really did manage to surprise us, some more than the others. But at the end of the day, we're done with the first circuit of the Tri-Circuit Challenge. And from here, they're going to face the next challenge. I'm not talking about Kari Motor Speedway. I'm talking about the fact that they're going to be driven the 500 kilometers to Coimbatore on public roads. And from there to Delhi. So that's over 3,000 kilometers apart from the abuse on the 3 circuits. Tough one, huh? So we're going to get in and start driving. While Aditya sprinted off to catch a flight to Coimbatore, we quickly headed out of the MMRT. Our 3-car convoy barreling down the highway to Coimbatore. I chose to spend my time in the RS7 to cover the 500 kilometers. This V8 is just so enjoyable. It's refined, yet punchy. And when you want it to be relaxed, thanks to that 8-speed gearbox, it can be just so chilled out. After witnessing it on the track, the RS7's plush ride quality on Desi roads felt shockingly good. Of course, for the big potholes, you gotta still be careful because at the end of the day, you're riding here on the optional 21-inch rims and the tires are like that thin, that's it. The drive was fun and relaxing because we were cruising comfortably. But it quickly got dark and we stopped frequently to catch a break and stretch our legs. After a flat-out track test in Chennai, the 3 Audis had driven all the way to Coimbatore, just in time for the next big challenge, the Kari Motor Speedway.
Welcome to Coimbatore. Karthik, tell me,
Hey man.
how was your drive?
Well, thank you for welcoming me to Coimbatore. The drive actually, straight up, surprising, like really good.
Yeah?
I drove the RS7 since it was the fastest car in Chennai. I said, this is the car to drive. Guess the fuel efficiency that we got.
The RS7, over 500 kilometers. It's got cylinder on demand, yeah?
Yeah.
So 4 cylinders, 6 kilometers per liter.
With your track driving, it was giving 4 something at MMRT.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's quite economical for the track.
Yeah. But on the highway, we got over 9 kilometers to a liter.
No way.
Okay, but which car are you going to put your money on?
Here, okay, so being a small track, not many straight lines, lots of corners. I would say the TT would be quick, but there's 230 bhp versus 516 on RS7, so the RS7. Look at the size of the straight, it's what? More than...
Once again, no sandbagging. When you start talking like that, I get worried. TT, flat out.
Okay, TT flat out, done.
Yes, that's straight. 800 meters off it. Originally, it was designed as a runway for powered gliders. So yes, horsepower would be very handy. The first car to hit the track was the champion from Chennai, the RS7. And Aditya had some strange plans in store for it.
Soft suspension for this track. It's a bumpy track also.
And as we got down to the business of setting a hot lap, Aditya's setup proved to be a very wise decision. Pretty soon we hit a bump straight on.
Oh, that was airborne!
It is bumpy, isn't it?
Yeah. The curbs are pretty high.
Yeah, but without hitting the curb, it was up.
Luckily, we hadn't gone airborne and the rims were okay. Which was a good thing because the RS7 was tearing around the track in a crazed fashion. I had thought that the RS7 would feel too big around this tight track. But surprisingly, it felt so pointy even here. It was lunging out of corners and flying down the straight. Its lap time was blistering. We could barely believe what the RS7 had achieved. Next up, it was the S6. Would it surprise us as well?
So I'm going to put this one on dynamic completely, even the suspension.
However, the tweaked tyre pressures were helping the S6 here as well. The S6 4-litre V8 was also doing a fine job of rocketing it out of corners. Its result was a lap time of 1 minute 13.9 seconds, about a second and a half down on the RS7. And then it was the turn of the Audi TT.
Okay, I thought this would be the ace in the hole for this track.
Let's see, we'll find out. It could be. Just that the acceleration over the RS7. But you never know, we may make up time somewhere. So these two corners for sure we'll make up time. On that D, we'll make up a little time.
Could the TT give the S6 a scare? We hope so as we headed out onto our hot lap. The 4-pot motor was certainly no slouch. It hit over 170 kilometers an hour down the straight. And in the corners, it was just beautiful.
See the cornering speed is so much more
Flat, man.
Yeah.
We were optimistic as we headed back to the pit lane to get the lap time. But this time the news was a bit disappointing. The TT was slower than the S6 by 0.3 of a second. So while the TT had missed out on delivering by just that little bit, another car had surprised us completely.
Well, off the Tri-Circuit Challenge, we've just completed doing the hot laps here at the Kari Motor Speedway, the second circuit. And well, the surprise at the MMRT was the S6. And the surprise here is the RS7. Agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think we both expected the weight of the car to really pull it down on this track.
Yeah.
You know, because you're turning into all the corners and they all come down a fairly quick straight and it's all 90-degree corners pretty much.
It's just like a quick switch.
It's a quick switch in direction and this thing changed direction so much better than we expected.
Way neater than I expected.
And also, I think the quattro system in this car really helped it, you know, come out of the slower corners. So when I got on the power, it was just the inner wheels tracking the car through the corner. I could feel the grip in the inner wheels. There was no movement around, there was no understeer, there was no oversteer, any unnecessary kind of movement. So it just gave me so much confidence. I mean, on a track like this, it's scary.
And we're going to be clocking a lot more kilometers before we catch up with Aditya next, because that's going to be at the BIC in Noida, Greater Noida, and we've got a long way to get there.
With that, the three hotted up Audis were back on the road for their long hike to Greater Noida. But our stop for the day would be Bengaluru.
For the drive to Bangalore, I've chosen the TT. This might be a little too sporty for long distance highway touring, but let's see what it's like, shall we?
Without adjustable suspension, the TT felt a bit uncompromising.
It's not uncomfortable once you're at speed, but if you get to a broken stretch or over bumpy sections, you really have to slow down, otherwise it really crashes and feels quite hard. TT has a bit of a tough task keeping up with its elder siblings because the reserves of power and torque and those are just humongous. But the TT did have its plus points. We don't have too many winding sections on our route, but when you do find a couple of corners, the TT just feels so delightful. It feels so light and nimble. This makes up for the shortfall in power. At the end of the day, I had to admit that the TT had proved to be way more practical and livable than I had expected. The next day, we had over 1,000 kilometers to Mumbai. The journey was fast, fun, but also long and tiring. I'm really enjoying this, soaking it in, because very shortly I will be getting out of the car and handing over the keys to Nikhil Bhatia, because he's going to be driving the car to Delhi, to the BIC.
Hello and welcome to leg 3 of the Tri-Circuit Challenge. As Kartik may have told you, I'm Nikhil and I'll be driving the cars from Mumbai to Delhi and then Greater Noida, where I'll be joining Aditya at the Buddh International Circuit. So that's for day after tomorrow. As for today, our route is to go from Mumbai to Udaipur, which is about 800 kilometers away, and then tomorrow we'll be going from Udaipur to Delhi and onwards, which is another 700 or so. So it's not really an easy drive, but I expect us to have smoother sailing than Kartik and the team did. I've just got into the S6 and I must admit I really like this car. It really blends speed and comfort very well. I mean, it's powerful, it's fast, all that may be true, but it's also very comfortable. I've set the air suspension to auto and it's doing a splendid job of really smoothing out the imperfections on the road surface. What's also nice is the ground clearance is good, so I don't necessarily need to slow down to a crawl to get by potholes and the like. After a restless night in Udaipur, we were finally on to the last leg of the highway drive. I'm back in the Audi TT and the plan for today is to drive to Delhi from Udaipur. Now, as for the car, this is what I've observed. The RS7 is the sinister one. The S6 is the muscle man in the business suit. But if there's a car that everyone wants to take a very close look at, it has to be the TT. I don't know whether it's to do with the orange paint or just that coupe shape, but you know, this one tops everyone's wish list. But it wasn't all easy going. National Highway 8 is a mess and some sections of it look as if they belong to a war-torn country. But all's well that ends well. We made it to Noida safe and were more than ready to see Aditya and the Audis at the Buddh International Circuit the next day. Now, Aditya, you're quite familiar with this track. What do you want to say about it?
Well, compared to the other two tracks we've been to so far, it's definitely much wider. It's got longer straights, so the speeds here are going to be much higher. And I think you'll see a big difference between times from the fastest car to probably what the slowest car will be.
I'm guessing the RS7 will be the fastest car.
I think for sure it's going to be the fastest car.
Okay.
It's got the biggest engine of the lot. I mean, it's got the same engine as the S6, but it puts out the most power.
Yeah.
So on a long straight like this track has there and here, it's definitely going to spread its legs and show us what it's got.
We started with the TT. Obviously, we knew it wouldn't be the fastest at the BIC, but Aditya still gave it his all. He managed a 2-minute 33-second time, not bad in the least. Of course, natural progression dictated that the S6 was next. It certainly had the power, but could it pull off a big advantage over the TT? We started with the engine, gearbox and suspension tuned to their most aggressive. Aditya was smooth and took no time to declare the S6 as the most comfortable of the three. Sure, he did have to work harder to balance the car since the suspension was on the softer side, but the sheer punch from the engine and of course Aditya's bravado had him set a 2:27 dead. Yes, he was happy. Soon came time for the grand finale. Aditya and I had high hopes for the big bad wolf, the RS7. Straight off the bat, this car felt mad. Aditya gunned it, braking was superb and the acceleration relentless. Aditya made the most of the quattro system and blasted out of corners with a vengeance. It all paid off in the end and we managed a 2:23.75 time. Sure, a less dusty track would have got us closer to the targeted 2:20 seconds, but that's something we'd have to test another day. For now, we were happy to roll back into the pit lane triumphantly. So Aditya, now you've officially driven all the three cars on all the three tracks. How was your experience?
I think overall was pretty good. It was exactly as I expected, probably in a few places not like Karthik expected. But in the end, yeah, the RS7 of course came out on top at all three circuits. Of course on the Buddh it's definitely going to be fast, but in KMS it was close. It was close between all three of them. All three were within 2 seconds. So that was a bit surprising for us. But at the end of the day, I guess power talks.
And I really saw you were pushing very, very hard, even in the TT.
Of course, the TT is a smaller car, it's a lighter car compared to these two. So you can really charge into corners. Whereas in the two heavier cars, you have to be a little careful going in.
But do you think the TT would be a right stepping stone for someone new to performance cars? Obviously, you don't want to jump straight into a 550 bhp monster like this.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the TT is the most forgiving car of the lot. So it's going to help you get around this track a lot easier. I would suggest you take something like a TT, get really quick in a TT, and then take your supercar and at least try and match the TT from there. Of course, you will start to go faster than it in no time, but you'll be surprised how easy it is to drive that and how hard it is to drive a supercar really well, like the RS7. You have to really just hold on to it and do everything right.
You may say you were struggling with the RS7, but I saw you grinning all through your lap.
Struggles make you happy, don't they?
We've had an interesting couple of days with the three Audis, the TT, the S6 and the RS7. We've taken each of these cars out of their comfort zone and driven them on some of India's best highways and some of India's worst. We've also had a professional racing driver drive these cars very hard on three of India's best known racing tracks. The thing is, each of these cars has really amazed us with how well-rounded they are. The TT, it may be a junior sports car, but it really shone even on the circuit. The S6, the Executive Express as it is fun all around, and the RS7 is simply mad in every which way. In all, if I had to sum it up, I would have to say all three Audis have passed the Tri-Circuit Challenge with flying colours.